How's it going, everybody? This is another episode of Flex, Adapt with Intent. I am Dina Hall, and we are going to contemplate performing arts during uncertain times tonight. Each week, we sort of have been going back and forth between performing arts and visual arts, and tonight we're going to hit the singer-songwriter scene right now tonight, and my guest tonight is coming to us from what I believe she's coming to us from Washington D.C., but we'll find out a little bit more about that. And we're going to talk about some upcoming virtual performances that are happening, and discuss. Oh, we're going to discuss a whole lot of stuff. My guests been you've got comparisons. We all can't help it. We have comparisons. We hear someone that we like, and we think of all those wonderful influences that might have come up, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But for now, I'm just going to let you know that Chris Matthews is a neo-folk songwriter, and I really love that title because I have had a very hard time myself coming up with ways to describe new folk without just saying new folk. I like neo folk. So neo folk songwriter and recording artist. My guest tonight is Chris Matthews. Why don't you welcome Chris?
Oh, hi, everybody.
I'm going to get you a little bit tighter. And there we are. We got you full screen here.
Awesome.
That's great. And Chris, I want to put up, there we go. There we go. We got your words here. For those who don't know, Chris is absolutely an outstanding figure right now in a new generation of social justice music makers. And I say that without reservation. It's really wonderful to hear folks coming forward with conviction and telling the truth through music.
Thanks very much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Folks have... And I have to be honest, I heard this myself when I was listening. Comparisons, maybe some overtones of Toshi Reagan, Tracy Chapman, Ruthie Foster, and that's all really good company.
Yes, indeed.
You agree?
For sure.
We as much as we don't want to be compared, boy, it's there's no doubt, right, that those influences happen. They happen, and they're there in our legacy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you're coming to us from DC right now?
Yep, from the nation's capital, here in the thick of it all.
Yes. And tell us what it's like there right now.
It's interesting, with the pandemic kind of in full swing. It's interesting to kind of drive through the streets of DC and see it so desolate compared to what it normally looks like. So that has definitely been an interesting kind of existence, just seeing it. I mean, people are still here, definitely, but I mean, DC is usually just madness, like traffic, no matter what time of the day, anywhere you go, any part of the city. But right now, I mean, you can get pretty much anywhere without any issue, which is very strange for DC. So there's that. And then, of course, things were so heated right after George Floyd's killing, with the protests and everything here. And so on the one hand, it was comforting to be so close to that moment, to see so many people in solidarity lifting their voices in the nation's capital, speaking up as Americans, as concerned citizens. So that was actually a really interesting time, kind of risking it during the pandemic just so that people could know that we weren't going to stand for this. So it was interesting. It's an interesting time to be in the city.
About that. And we've seen, you talk about, what happened right after George Floyd's killing, and we've seen that spread across the country, but in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Here in Bethlehem, I think it was just a couple of days afterwards, I found myself, walking in the streets with folks. And it was difficult for me to make that choice because we are hot and heavy in this pandemic, and I, for one, am someone who's had dealt with cancer and have immunocompromised situation, and it was hard. It was hard to make that decision. I know a lot of people have really wanted to come out and come forth with some of this, and having to make decisions right now. Like it's the best time and the worst time
Yeah.
to be in experiencing all of this. And I'm, for one, thrilled to see it just keep the momentum going, and
Yeah.
it's continuing across the nation.
Yeah.
Um, um, we had a couple of comments here. My friend Vernon Mobley just saying love you, and Brian McCloskey is
Oh yeah, Brian's
checking
so great.
for you. Yay, Chris.
Hey, Brian.
Um, before we go any further, if you want to hit the road running here with a song, Brian was very thrilled that I shared the video earlier today, your battle hymn for an army of lovers, and that was something you recorded. How long ago was that? 2017?
2016, actually. Well, yeah, technically 2017. So right after
Okay.
the actual election,
Yeah.
just on the cusp of the inauguration, I got to sing that song in public for the first time the night of the Women's March, which was a very comforting feeling.
It's comforting, it's moving, right? It's just like sort of grips you from your gut.
Yeah.
And you entered that in a Tiny Desk concert, did you not?
I did, yeah. I entered it into the Tiny Desk contest, and then also it was one of my entries for the New Song Music and Performance contest in 2017 as well. I think that helped bring me the grand prize on that one. So.
Oh wow. Very cool. All right. Well, I'm not going to hold things up any further. I'm going to let you just get on with it and play that song.
All right. This is Battle Hymn for an Army of Lovers. I kind of like to intro this song a bit, just because I know folks kind of recognize the inspiration for it right away as soon as the chorus starts. But one of the unsung heroes of the song is my mom. And she gave me some really great advice after the 2016 election, which those of you who know me, even those of you who don't, you can imagine my shock and disappointment as a Black butch-identified lesbian living in Northern Virginia in an interracial marriage at the time of that election outcome. What a shock to see my country kind of fall into what I was fairly certain were the wrong hands. And so the Rev gave me some great advice about how to get through that moment. And so I took that advice and the advice of some other amazing people and crafted this song. I hope this gives you a little inspiration and hope. Change is coming once again, except this time it feels like the world's about to end. White-robed devils in plain sight, angry protests in the streets night after night. And it weighs heavy on my mind. Why are we so quick to run backwards after all this time? But I won't let it change my heart. I was born full of love and hope, and when I die, that's how I'll depart. And when you find yourself incapable of seeing eye to eye, remember when they go low, we go high. Change is coming, that's for sure. We gave a madman all the keys and let him walk right in the door. And I don't think he'll see the light until the whole world is on fire, but that's alright, that's alright. We will still be here when he's gone, and if it doesn't kill us all, well, it sure will make us strong. So don't let 4 years change your heart. We were not born hating each other. Now is not the time to start. And when you find yourself incapable of seeing eye to eye, remember when they go low, we go high. There's a song penned for soldiers. It says, let us live to make men free. We're all sisters, we're all brothers, standing on each other's shoulders. There's no wall we cannot scale. We are an army of lovers, and we shall not fail. So when you find yourself incapable of seeing eye to eye, remember when they go low, we go high, 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 high. yeah. I said, people get ready. People get ready. People get ready. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Got to have some clapping.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. That is the most
Thanks
difficult.
very much, Tina.
Yeah, you're welcome. The lack of applause, not because we need the adulation, but the lack of applause is sort of like is that call and response that we're accustomed to at the end of a song, right? And
Yes, it has been an interesting adjustment.
yeah. Do you what do you do? What do you do to fill that gap? What do you do in your head?
For me, it's a strange thing to really explain. I feel like even through the ether, a lot of times, like that energy still travels, And so for me, it really doesn't feel that drastically different. It doesn't feel that drastically different. Like orally, it sounds very different to have that empty space there and not the applause. But as far as the energetically, it really doesn't feel that different. I feel like I'm still getting to connect. And I don't know if that's because I'm putting so much intention behind it and hoping and intending to still make that connection. So energetically, it feels kind of the same. But yeah, definitely as far as how it sounds, it is a strange, like crickets after the song, which is not what I'm used to.
Yes, I can identify as well.
Yeah.
I know myself. I was able to sort of work through all of that because of having a radio background. I kind of had to liken it to that. Like, no, they're out there, they're listening, they're watching. You
Yeah.
just gotta go with it. But then last week there was a music fest here in town. I had to go over to the cable TV studio and play from the studio, which was completely different
Oh, wow.
because it's just a black hole. You're just playing into the void, and that was not quite so easy. So we're totally feeling it. We're feeling it from you. Ann Nurse, she's chiming in with some hand claps, and Brian's got some serious vibes coming here. Okay, folks, we're so glad you're watching. And if you all have any questions, any questions you want to ask about things that are upcoming, we're happy to address that stuff if we can. And if we touch on something, let us know and we'll stop and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I promised that we would talk about our joy and excitement over the announcement of Joe Biden choosing Kamala Harris. So I'm just going to hand that over to you because I know you are just thrilled about this.
Absolutely delighted. I have been screaming Biden Harris on the interwebs for about 3 or 4 years now. So I'm so excited to see that my psychic powers have paid off. I'm just thrilled. I mean, I think I'm a proud Democrat. I'm a lifelong Democrat. So for me to get to see both the first Black president and the first Black vice president, who is also a woman, is incredible. Just in my same lifetime, it's absolutely amazing. And it is, I think it's important to note for some folks who hear that and for some reason decide to think that just because they happen to be Black, and I'm excited about that, they are not also wildly qualified for the job. Yes, they are both wildly qualified individuals. So I'm just so thrilled. Kamala Harris is such a force. She's so brilliant. She's so passionate. She's so strong in everything that she does. And so to have that be a role model for an entire generation of girls in general and girls and women of color specifically is absolutely phenomenal. I'm thrilled. I'm over the moon. I cannot wait to cast my vote for her.
Yeah, that's some of the most important things you brought up there are people, you have to be thrilled with the choice and that we've come so far and this has happened. It's wonderful, but nobody can discount the qualifications.
Yeah. Boy, will they try though. And boy, are they trying already, which is
Yes.
ironic considering the current occupant of the White House and his lack of experience in anything other than reality television. But what do I know?
No, we know for sure. We know for sure. Yeah, and the this dystopia is that all of this is happening at a time when we can't, and we just can't like run out in the streets and hug one another. We
Yeah.
can't just like like just be together and be so just share the energy in a physical sense, but we're sharing it in an emotional
Oh yeah,
sense.
there was a lot of screaming in this house yesterday. We
Yeah,
were very
yeah.
happy.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Mine too. Um, yes. So while we're going off all of this, and one of the things that we're learning that just because someone is qualified and just because they might speak to a particular group, and folks really need to rally around all of that. And I don't want to stray too far from the concept of what we're talking about here, that we're living in a virtual reality right now. But one of the things that we're having to do is also look out for the interests of each and every one of us, like the greater good. And so for folks like you and me, and here in my house, my wife Gail and I are very concerned about how this is all going to affect us as well. And I
Yeah.
know you are as well. And so we're going into this weekend coming up. August 16th, this Sunday, is our Lehigh Valley Pride
Mhm.
celebration.
Yep.
And ordinarily that's a wonderful thing that happens across the country, but I know right here, even in the Lehigh Valley, I've watched it evolve since I remember being a part of it back in 1998, and I have watched it evolve in wonderful, wonderful ways. I really have, because the community has gotten behind it,
Hmm.
and so much work has been done by the folks here in Lehigh Valley. I know for on our end of it, but
Yeah.
now we have this virtual event coming up this Sunday. So
Yep.
and you're a part of that, and I just want to throw some names out there along with you. My friend Regina Sales be part of it. Holly Neer. Um, um, who else? You and who else's name is
Yeah,
going
so
on?
actually, this set that I'll be doing, it's Heather May and I together. We do this virtual. This is our first virtual year of doing it, but we do this Pride tour every year called the Singing Out Tour, where we kind of
Yeah,
combine forces specifically for the month of Pride to just sing out. And so we're called the Singing Out Tour. So it'll be myself along with singer songwriter Heather May.
yeah, and um, if it ever happens, and you're around here, I want to be your percussionist. I know. Okay. So that's coming up this Sunday. So where is that, a live stream that you're going to be doing?
It is, yeah. So they are kind of just broadcasting the event in its entirety for the community there. For anybody who didn't get to catch the concert during Pride Month, they are very lovingly kind of putting together a big event for the community there in the Lehigh Valley. So shout out to them for doing that. Everybody over at Bradbury Sullivan.
Yes, yes. They're
Yeah,
working hard. Adrian
yeah,
Schenker gets a lot of credit, and he works hard, and so do I. Don't know the names of all the other volunteers
yeah.
and all the other staff. I really don't, but I do know that the women that community center has been named for have worked many years, um, many years.
Wonderful.
Um, Liz Bradbury, Trish Sullivan, long time. So. Uh, you talk about Heather, and you co-wrote 6 Feet Apart not long
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah,
right?
that's what we like to call that a pandemic perk. It's kind of trying to find whatever random rays of sunshine you can possibly find during this crazy time that is this pandemic. And for the two of us kind of ending up being isolated together, two singer-songwriters in the same space, we were just coming back from Heather's tour for her newest album, Glimmer, in mid-March, and everything kind of just stopped. All of our gigs just got canceled. It was crazy just watching gig after gig after gig after gig get canceled. And so it was like, that was terrible and shocking. And so we're trying to figure out what in the world to do. And then this day I was just sitting there and I saw this gorgeous post from one of my friends who was talking about kind of everybody freaking out about being told to stay home, when in actuality she is of the Jewish background, and so for her hearing people complain about being told to stay home when, the history of the Holocaust, when people staying home and having to stay hidden for fear of literally losing their lives for even making noise, when we're complaining about staying home when we can still sing and dance and do everything other than just be in a large group. It was a really interesting perspective to get very early on in the pandemic. I was so grateful for that. And it just really struck a chord with me. And so shortly after seeing that post, I got a lovely message from a fan who had seen Heather and I perform in Vermont. And she was saying that her fiance and her were having to be isolated from one another because one of them worked on the front lines and they had kids and they just didn't want to risk anything. Everything was still kind of so unknown at that point. And it was just so beautiful. And so kind of those two things planted the seeds of the song. And it was just wonderful. It just came together so effortlessly. It's the first song that Heather and I have ever written together. We've known each other for 7 years, but this was the first song that we had ever written. And I think we kind of knocked it out of the park on the first go round. I'm so proud of it. It's such a beautiful song.
Oh, for sure, you knocked it out of the park. The blend, the blend, and the dynamics are incredible.
Thanks.
For a first. Wow. All right. Do you want to play that for us?
I'm not going to play that one for you.
Yeah.
I'm in the mood of the fuel. So I really want to make sure my last song today is about voting rights. It's about getting everybody out there ready to vote. I feel like as a folk singer, as somebody who is deeply rooted in the social justice songwriting community, I feel very strongly about using my platform wisely.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. It's all yours.
All right. I want to send you all out for me with this one called American History XIX. And there's a lyric in this song that says, "You've got the blood of a woman who is told she wasn't good enough to vote running through your veins." And that is true for almost every single one of us walking around this planet. So we definitely owe it to them to do our parts. Wear a band around my wrist that says no one fights alone. I wear it to remind me how the hardest fights are won. It was a gift from her friend when she was fighting cancer. Such simple words, such a powerful answer. Intolerance and fear are spreading like malignant cells do. Faster every day, threatening to tear this world in two. They say you cannot fight for peace, but I say it's time to fight for change. If we let hate divide us, things will only stay the same. So don't let them make you bitter, make you give up and stay home. If you want to make the world better, we're gonna have to do it on our own. Your vote makes a difference. I said your vote makes a difference when it's all said and done. Remember, no one fights alone. Decide which way the needle is to move. Will it be forward or backward? Not red, green or blue. We can't be the land of liberty and justice for all if America's new motto is build that wall. Hate and fear are cancers of our consciousness. They breed intolerance. That's how we got in this mess. You cannot fight for peace, but it's time to fight for change. If we let hate divide us, things will only stay the same. So don't let them make you bitter, make you give up and stay home. If you want to make the world better, we're gonna have to do it on our own. Your vote makes a difference. I said your vote makes a difference when it's all said and done. Remember, no one fights alone. She wasn't good enough to go running through your veins. And I've got the blood of a black man who was told he wasn't good enough to vote running through my veins. So you can sit there and tell me that your vote doesn't matter. I'm gonna sit here and show you how the world changed after they could vote. Let them make you better, make you give up and stay home. If you want to make the world better, we're gonna have to do it on our own. Your vote makes a
All said and done, remember, no one fights alone. No one fights alone. No one fights alone.
True words. Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Chris.
My
And
pleasure.
I know you got to run out of here because you've got a bona fide gig or what?
I know. What is this life now?
All right. All right. Thanks, everyone.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes.
Thank you, Dina. It's a pleasure.
And we'll take you out of the stream, and I will tell all the folks a little bit more about you and what's going on. And we're very happy and pleased to have you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, everybody. Don't forget to register to vote. Don't forget to remind your friends to register to vote. Don't forget to check your COVID voting protocols. How fast can you get that mail-in ballot? How fast can you get it back in?
That's it.
Thanks.
All right. Bye. Yes, I sent a text to my whole family last night to remind them all to get that. They're actually moving from New Jersey into Pennsylvania, and over the course of the next month or so. And I did remind them all, and yep, they were already on it. They were on it and got their voter registration changed to the state, and they getting their mail-in ballot as well. It really does make me very excited to have people come on and really talk honestly and openly about the things that are happening and how we can all affect that change and make a difference. Because again, we're living we really are living in a dystopian time right now. This is really quite crazy. I received a text in the middle of all of this from my daughter-in-law saying that my granddaughter's school is going to be completely online this year, and she's starting kindergarten, so she doesn't even know what school is yet. So for all you kids that are in a bit of a state of confusion right now, my heart is with you, and parents and all of you folks not knowing, what's going on from week to week and how you're going to handle this. I really do feel for you. Yeah, I don't know what I would have done had it been my time. I wanted to mention again, Chris Matthews. I'll put some information up here on the screen for you for Chris. That is some authentic songwriting. That is folk music, and folk music, I think, is really something that is the music of the people, and it's meant to make a difference, and it's meant to be meaningful in some way. Even when it's humor, even when it's a bit of satire and all of that, it's still meant to be meaningful. So Chris's collateral here is up, Patreon, and some of the Venmo, and if you wish to send a couple bucks her way, that would be fabulous. And I'm also going to say that if you have any wish to send anything to support this program, this is something that I'm doing basically in my own way to adapt to what's happening. And I knew that when I came up with the title of Adapt with Intent, I knew it was going to be something that I would have to really live up to. And it's turning out to be easier than I ever imagined it would be. There's no shortage of guests and folks who are really happy to come on and talk about how these things are impacting them. So one of the things I am promising, and basically what I've done to ensure that 10% of any tips come my way, I have set up a monthly donation to Turning Point of the Lehigh Valley. So I have received a little bit over the course of the last couple of months through virtual and live stream performances. And I have set up a monthly payment that is going out to Turning Point of the Lehigh Valley, because I want to remind everyone that during these times, when folks are, for lack of better words, stuck in their home, and they're stuck in these domestic situations where there's so much uncertainty, but there's also a whole lot of stress. And in those times, people that find themselves victims of domestic abuse, whether it be emotional, psychological, mental, and physical. Those folks are in need of services and support. And that's what Turning Point does. They are there as a resource and a lifeline, oftentimes, for those folks. So that would be paypal.me, Dina Hall 2020. I'm sorry, paypal.me/Dina Hall 2020. We have to say all of the characters when we do this. I also want to remind you that this year's Lehigh Valley Pride 2020 will be presented on Sunday, August 16th, 2020. And we want to say thank you to the folks that are putting that together this year. It's pretty awesome that they were able to bring it all together at this point in time. I also want to say thank you to my friends at WDIY for their support for this program, and as well, Godfrey Daniels also. I'm going to look over the top of that. Look at that. I'll be through another channel, through the Godfrey Daniels channel. I'm going to turn my hat around, wear a different color bandana, something like that. Godfrey Daniels, you all know, is very, very dear to my heart, and it's a labor of love for me, and I'm doing everything I can to do my part to help keep Godfrey's moving forward in this time. So we're starting something called a Parlor series. We're very similar to this, but not exactly the same. It's a little bit more focused on the artist itself and more on the performance. So it's going to be a concert and interview. And my very first guest will be Christine Havrilla. And that is August 18th, coming up next week, on Thursday of next week. So that's going to be over on the Godfrey Daniels Facebook and YouTube channels. You can find it at their website as well, godfreydaniels.org. You can get information about that. So there will be more of those upcoming. We'll see who we get to pop in for those. So I think I have covered just about everything here without turning this into a very long monologue. Last little bit of details coming up, 8/19. Next Wednesday, Mike Nelson, the Senior Director of Marketing at Martin Guitar and a producer of their live stream series called Jam in Place. And if you didn't see the Martin Jam in Place last night with the New Respects, you got to go look at it. The New Respects, I saw them at Music Fest a couple of years ago in all their full electric, big sound, big hair, big, gorgeous, gorgeous show. And then they were on the Levitt Pavilion stage down at the Steel Stacks. I think it was last summer. And they put them out over this live stream in a completely acoustic setting, sitting, four of them sitting across the top of a couch in their parents' home. And I know they're all family members, siblings and cousins, I think. So check that out. Martin Guitar, Jam in Place. It is on their, you can find it on any of their social media, I'm sure. And the New Respects, check them out. All right. And then September 2nd, my buddy Josh Kanuski, he's drummer for the David Bromberg band. And, you know, before he became famous with David Bromberg, he has played drums for a lot of us little folk here in the Lehigh Valley and beyond, myself included. Josh Kanuski and his friend and mine, Q Fisher, from the Serene Green Bluegrass Band. Serene Green hit the bluegrass scene a couple years ago. Bam, they made a big splash, and they were really well on their way to doing some awesome stuff. And again, taken out at the knees. So we're going to talk about, these are folks who were on their way towards touring. And in Josh's case, you know, some serious touring and having that all just cut out right there. So we're going to talk with them about how this has affected their life, their home, their family, all of that. And then September 9th, Aaron Alkasoff and Janair Hankerson, stand-up and improv comedy from right here in the Lehigh Valley. I don't know a whole lot about that yet, but I'll have more to tell next time. We'll find out about that. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. This is one of the shorter episodes, and I kind of like it that way. Thanks again to Chris Matthews, and keep your eyes open for that Lehigh Valley Pride virtual live stream. I've got something I submitted as well, a quick 4-minute song that they'll be playing as well. All right. Thanks, y'all, for hanging out with me tonight, and be back at you next week. Bye-bye.